Hello, everyone. We were just talking about our live today, which is a conversation rather than a presentation. I know I have a bit of a tendency to overplan sometimes. I'm here with my amazing friend Bonnie, cherishing every moment that we get to hang out in person. How's it going, Bonnie?
It's going. It's going. We were both also talking about the fact that we're both a little extra tired this morning.
Oh, we weren't going to fixate on that though. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So one thought that I've had recently is about Plateau and Grow. I mean, this, like many other things that I now incorporate in my life, is something that David Meltzer talks about, but I feel like I am experiencing this in a really positive way. So when I like get to a new level in life, there's a lot of pressure, both socially, but also even like self-created, just in terms of like my personality and how I am, that like there's this drive to be productive, like towards a goal, and like that's great. But I do like, if you're always pushing for the next and next and next thing, I mean, you never know, which day could be your last, and you've never like really appreciated what you already have, or like have done and accomplished and achieved. And like I'm in a place right now where the progress for me is going to feel smooth, rather than there will be times for another like big push or like overhaul and revolution, but this is just the kind of time where I'm like blessed to be where I am, and just kind of like going with it and enjoying it, and preparing for the next phase of progress to feel smooth. And I think that appreciation, I used to have insecurity that the appreciation of where I am now would somehow like sap my energy or motivation for doing. I like almost believed that like the appreciation would take away from that, but like I realized that was kind of an insecurity based on me um putting too much energy into other people's limitations, and like just this sort of anxious, like needing to prove myself kind of thing. But once there's like the inner confidence that you're already there, like the pace at which you're doing it, can be changed. So what do you think, Bonnie?
Um, I also had a long history of worrying about like if I took a break or chilled out for a while, like that contentment would set in, and that contentment was somehow a bad thing because we imagine people who were content weren't striving for the next thing. And I think although I believe like everyday balance is somewhat a myth. I think overall in life we need to have somewhat of a balance of both. You're not going to appreciate the accomplishments that you've made. Like, what's kind of the point of making them? But I think, uh, as women especially, we don't celebrate those small wins as much as we really should. It's kind of like celebrate and then go ahead and move on, but make sure you're having the celebrations, because you're not enjoying like the process and whatnot, enjoying the wins that you're having. Like there's no point in having them, I think. um yeah, I mean, it's great to be productive, but it's not so great to be productive and miserable.
Yeah,
Successful and miserable, it's kind of pointless. I'm realizing.
I think too that like people forget, or like even I, like we're really here for like the joy or whatever, and like somebody else getting joy out of like doing or accomplishing less like has no bearing or impact on like what I will or can do. And secondly, like me getting joy out of like where I am right now has no bearing on like where I'm going in the future. Right. Like taking a moment for contentment doesn't like end everything forever. I definitely know that feeling.
No, and especially if we're gonna follow like the teachings of Abraham Hicks and and David and so on and so forth. Appreciation is the thing that allows the more to come.
That's a good point.
So if we're not taking time to, I mean, that's like a key teaching in um, all of these different spiritual teachings, and even in the practical, like I feel like, if you're not appreciating it, I don't know. It's a weird kind of, I guess, a paradox where there's some people feel like if you're stopping to appreciate, you're not paying attention to like the growth. And on the other hand, there's this school of thought that says if you aren't appreciating, you're not paying attention to the growth. So I guess it's really just a matter of perspective. But I would rather stop and be grateful and show appreciation, because it feels like it makes the process easier. I mean, if you're even going to look at it from a practical standpoint, it's easier to do something that you enjoy. Like it just is. So, yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I've just changed how I used to have just like a much more frantic energy around like different things. I don't know if you think, yeah, you're like, yes, you did.
So did I. Yeah, I still fall into that every once in a while, where it's like, this thing needs to happen now, or there's like the world is going to end.
Or you have like this like pressure feeling, and then I sort of like use that analogy of like it would like I'm not saying I would literally like go work out at the gym, or like sometimes I did, but it's just like that feeling that like the vibe was like you almost needed like a gym workout type of energy or level of energy shift. If not the gym workout, something that would bring that energy shift. It like required that kind of like massive energy exertion to like move away from the fixation on like this one thing and like talk about appreciation. And I was thinking about this last night too, like we were just chatting about like different things in life or whatever, that like, yeah, I mean, not every moment, even people that you do business related activity with, like not every moment with people has to be like about like, yeah, it's great to like have a vision and like not limit. I find it hilarious. I find it hilarious if I like you talk about like getting your hair done or like getting waxed and like all these different things. People will always like just like the questions that people ask me and like what I can sort of derive in terms of their assumptions, like is like hilarious to me. They'll be like, "Oh, is it your day off of work?" I'm like, I move from passion and inspiration. There's no days off of that, but like at the same time, um there definitely is time to like live life rather than like on one hand, I don't limit when I talk about business, but I also don't limit when I live life either.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been out to do any of those things recently, but I think it's like natural, almost natural small talk at this point. It's like kind of like talking about the weather.
When
I
people
know
ask about work, I know it's just funny to me. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, by the time I get back, I haven't seen my hairdresser in a lot of years. I don't even know if he still works there, but by the time I get back to see him, like we've got a lot of ground to cover. Like a lot of stuff has happened in the past 5 years. I think the last time I saw him, my 5-year-old was a baby, maybe. But regardless, yeah, it's people. People obviously look at things from their perspective. So these people are at work, and so in their mind, if you're there, you're not at work.
Well, most of their clients, they talk to a lot of most of their clients are like office people, because most people are.
That's what I'm saying. Is so you come in and they assume that you're just like everybody else. Just,
you know what though?
Not harmful. It's like it kind of is what it is, and it's like, hey, no, that's not what I do. But thanks for asking, and then shift the conversation, and who knows, you may inspire that person to open their own salon or something at some point. And being an employee is obviously not. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that being an employee is a negative thing. I mean,
we're gonna need them. Well, that's a whole other matter. Yeah, I mean, I think that the main this is the way I've looked at it more broadly. Actually, it's interesting you bring this up because I think I used to have a lot more resistance around this too. Like I'd meet someone who was like somewhere within the vicinity of like having good energy, but like clearly had these like very limited and limiting assumptions that they project based on like how they perceive themselves and most people to be living. And to talk about like the frantic energy, I used to be like, if only I could save this person by turning them into an entrepreneur, they wouldn't be um relegated to this like life of doldrum and like limited cash. Like the thought of like the limited amount of money they would be living off of forever was like, but I'm like self like, whoa, there is like way much too much energy going in. Like now at this point, like, right, first of all, I'm very much more like focused with my energy like on my, like, I just don't think about other people in that way. And like it's just not like random people anyways. But like secondly, I think it's more broad in terms of like, right, the appreciation, back to plateauing and growing, the appreciation of like where you are, and then you're carrying the energy of passion and inspiration. So it's like, I'll share the passion and inspiration with you. And if you just feel more passionate and inspired in your job, like, I don't, maybe I was just relating too hard. Like once I no longer like view myself, which I really am at the point where I've like transitioned. I told you about the first day that I lived as an executive. Like, right, I've transitioned into feeling like an executive rather than a service worker. So like if that's what they decide to do, like I don't feel emotionally attached to that anymore. It's like we already discussed this. Like once you already have it, you don't have to feel emotionally attached to like how other people feel about things or what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that people are get to choose what they want to do. And um, there are some people who enjoy taking more risk on, but having more freedom. And there are other people who would rather feel more secure and not take on that risk. And that's totally fine. Like I was an employee. I worked in corporate for years and years and years and years and years. And I mean, somebody offered me enough money to do something I love, I might consider going back to like a corporate situation. But it's more or less like what is going to feel the best for me to do, and at that point in time. And I think taking it back to like the plateau and grow, like you have to get to a point where you're pushing, you're pushing, you're pushing, and then you've mastered something, and then you sit and you enjoy it, and you're content, and you kind of relish in your or revel in your accomplishment, and then look for the new things. Take that time to appreciate. I definitely had a tendency to move from one learning experience to another, and not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I definitely wasn't taking the time to be like, hey, I actually learned and mastered this skill. Like I should be grateful that I'm able and capable of doing something like that. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like this conversation is a little all over the place, but
I know, I was thinking about that. I was gonna say something about the tangents. There were a lot of tangents. I don't know.
it's a sleepy Monday morning.
Yeah, we need to wake up.
It is.
Yeah, we'll work on waking up before our next meetings. But great to see everyone. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you soon. And we have Founders Live Atlanta Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So please join us for that. See you later, everyone.